Hi, and welcome back to today's Ukraine war news update. The Druzhba oil pipeline has been blown up again in Russia. A source in the P.U.R.L has reported that the attack on the oil pipeline was carried out near the settlement of Kazynsky-Vysilki, which is on the Taganrog-Lipetsk oil pipeline section. At the Frontline, Russian forces nearly killed themselves with their own drone. The video shows a successful launch of a Molniya-2 UAV armed with an anti-tank mine as its warhead. Zelensky. Today is the day of missile troops and artillery, the day of those who responsibly hold our positions every day with their accuracy and endurance. Our artillerymen and missilemen strike, weaken the enemy, and cover the infantry, and their work allows us to stop breakthroughs and save the lives of our comrades. Every accurate shot is minus danger for our people. Australia and New Zealand have joined the P.U.R.L program to supply weapons and equipment to Ukraine, said NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte. The burden sharing of arms funding for Ukraine is much better now than it was, say, 4 or 6 weeks ago. And the fact that now even New Zealand and Australia, which are not members of NATO, but are close partners of the alliance through the Indo-Pacific region, that they have also now committed to be part of P.U.R.L. This is really great news, and it gives us a stable flow of weapons to Ukraine from the necessary U.S. stocks, Rutte said. Next, an amazing video has just been released. Primary of the P.U.R.L destroyed an enemy MiG-29 fighter jet in Crimea on the Kacha military airfield. On the same night, the primary also hit the airfield radar complex Irtysh near the temporarily occupied Simferopol. Ukraine remains one of the most mined countries in the world. Over 142,000 square kilometers remain potentially dangerous. The most difficult situation is in the east and south. Every day, sappers clear 60 to 70 hectares. In the Kharkiv region, after deoccupation, farmers were able to increase the cultivated area threefold, but thousands of mines are still in the ground. Munitions were even found in residential buildings. The Wall Street Journal reports that Ukraine may have already bombed around a dozen tankers of Russia's Shadow Fleet. In addition to the November 28th attacks, explosions occurred on at least 7 Russian-linked vessels since December 23, 2024. Russian authorities have abandoned the construction of a new railway from Siberia to China due to a lack of funds, according to the Moscow Times. The cost of building NSR is estimated at 50 trillion rubles, while Russian Railways investment program had previously been significantly reduced to 1 trillion rubles in 2026. In news from Europe, the European defense industry grew by nearly 14% in 2024, reaching 183.4 billion euros in revenue as reported by Bloomberg. Employment in the sector rose by 8.6%, reaching 633,000 jobs. ASD also noted that a significant share of European defense procurement still goes to foreign suppliers, mainly the United States, creating potential supply chain vulnerabilities. In news from the Frontline, the 3rd Army Corps officially refutes information about the so-called breakthrough of the Russians in Lyman. The Corps units repel 40 assaults per day on the approaches to Lyman and do not allow the enemy to enter the city, said the Corps commander, Brigadier General Beletsky. In a recent poll, 86.7% of Ukrainians believe that freezing the front line will not stop Russia from attacking again, according to a poll by the New Europe Center. European leaders apparently harbor deep distrust of the U.S. in the peace talks with Russia and Ukraine. Merz and Macron, in a confidential conference call with Zelensky and several other top European politicians, issued stark warnings that the U.S. could betray Ukraine and Europe. Zelensky. We honored the memory of the fallen Ukrainian defenders together with the President of Cyprus. Eternal respect to our fallen soldiers. Gratitude to all who fought for the independence of Ukraine and defended the country at the cost of their own lives. Now to an update from the front line. The battle continues. Ukrainian units continue to hold the northern part of Pokrovsk, Syrsky. In the Pokrovsk and Mirnohrad area, we are actively blocking the enemy's attempts to accumulate assault infantry groups and advance around these settlements. In more news from the front line, soldiers of the 7th Corps destroyed 2 enemy tanks on the outskirts of Mirnohrad. Those tanks are certainly burning very well. The Times reports, weeks of peace talks, revised U.S. proposals, and a Trump envoy's Kremlin visit failed to sway Putin. He remains committed to conquering Ukraine. The only clear result: Putin no longer fears Trump. Talks widened the rift between Europe and Washington, delighting Moscow. As we all knew before the meeting took place, nothing would come of the so-called peace talks in Russia. The UN General Assembly has adopted a resolution that calls for the immediate and safe return of Ukrainian children whom Russia has forcibly displaced or deported, and also calls to stop such actions. The first monument to the victims of the Holodomor in Ukraine was opened in Israel in the central part of Jerusalem, reported the Embassy of Ukraine in Israel. A hand raised in front of a broken millstone symbolizes the overwhelming burden of memory and a deep faith in renewal and healing. In the hand are 5 stalks of grain, reminiscent of the cruel Kremlin law, according to which the storage of any amount of the harvest was punishable by death. And lastly, for today's Ukraine war news update. Trump. I don't know what the Kremlin is doing. I can tell you that Witkoff and Kushner had a reasonably good meeting with Putin. Trump has absolutely no clue what is happening with regards to the peace deal. He is a complete waste of space and far from being the leader of the free world. Thanks for listening to Ukraine, the Dark and Light. Please like, subscribe, and share.